What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jason564 here. Recently, well, 4 months ago, we talked about a VTuber on the indie side, Bungo Taiga, and basically talked about his drama at that point in time, about him having like the $9,000 model, and a whole bunch of other stuff that came through. And at the time, I was just covering it just because I was a bit annoyed at the situation, how, I guess, everybody was talking about it, because y'all know how I am. I usually get annoyed. Anytime something is like getting talked about a lot and I don't care for it, I'm gonna talk about it because I'm annoyed. So that's basically kind of how I am when it comes to things. But when it comes down to the whole situation with Bungo Taiga, at the time I really didn't know much about the information that was, being tossed around. I heard things about him being racist, potentially a transphobic person, and like some type of ped in some type of way. And that's what I was hearing for a majority of the information, but I also said in the video that I didn't know whether it was true or not, and I didn't want to necessarily assume things. I was just confused on the whole situation, so I don't necessarily know. I ended up chalking it up to thinking that people just kind of hated him because he had no problem with Shota and Lolly, and like he had the $9,000 model, which I said if he has that money and he spends it on, the model and stuff, then let him spend the money on what he wants to spend it on. However, there's a lot more to the situation than what I ended up realizing. And this is on me, honestly. I should have kind of covered this a bit more in depth because I was handed said information via a burner account of someone else that was like investigating through, the Taiga drama and stuff. And it leads to some serious ass stuff. So yeah, kind of got handed this a while back and I never really covered it. Mainly because, again, with the Taiga thing, at the time, I just didn't care. And anything else that kind of went through, like anything in the future, I probably wouldn't have cared. But this is the one time I probably should have paid attention and cared. Like, I took a glance at the DM that the person with the burner account ended up sending me, but I never really, went into it. Also, I don't like dipping into other people's affairs on a super deep level, because I am not a drama account or like a drama news person or whatever, because that's just not really what I do here. And it's not. We cover other things. But if there is some type of drama that comes on and I feel like it needs to be exposed and it's something that is, very necessary, especially if it's like someone I know of, definitely I'm going to go ahead and try to cover it. Or it's like something that's annoying, especially to me, definitely going to cover it. Which is why I feel that exact same feeling as I do today. Now, I don't know if I should show the DM, but considering that this is a burner account, the investigator dude, I'm probably going to just show it because, it's not like their identity is at risk or anything. Hopefully not. So I think on December the 3rd, I was on December the 2nd, my bad. I was shown this strange DM, never seen this person in my life, never seen this account in my life. And basically they was just talking about how they were trying to do this unexposed thing and basically wanted to, be anonymous, but then something kind of changed with that. And then they tried to go ahead and try to hit me up with this and try to see, to I guess spread this around in some shape or form, give this a read and kind of do stuff with this information. Again, this was like December 2nd, basically the beginning of the month. I didn't really look into this any more than what I really should have. One other reason why I didn't do that too was because this was the most random thing for me. Because, like I said, I covered the Bungo Taiga thing out of annoyance, and I didn't really think of it any more than that. And so the fact that I'm getting tossed this extra information of something of a topic I didn't really care about originally, of course, personally, on a personal level, why would I cover anything else that's more about something that annoyed me? I just didn't really care to do so. And then also at that point in time, I was not in the right headspace because I was just like, okay, whatever, dude, but I'm just trying to figure out my own damn life and content, so let's try to focus on that, please. Again, asshole thing of me, so I apologize on that front. But when it comes down to things, this goes so much farther than just a simple annoying ass indie VTuber drama. This goes way further than that, and it's just not necessarily what I was expecting at all. Now, this burner investigator account ended up having this whole giant ass thread along with this Google document, kind of going over more information about, Tyga's situation and the drama that is being thrown into things, and the misunderstanding that everybody is getting, and the misinformation that has been tossed around when it comes to Tyga and stuff. Basically, the whole thing about him being like a ped, especially that part, is false. That is something that is not true in the slightest, because this person who is his burner account goes after people that is like that, or suspiciously could be like that. And that's like the major thing of this burner account, what they try to do. So for them to kind of, and they seem pretty legitimate, and they seem pretty like real when it comes to things. So I imagine what they're trying to put forward here is probably true. So I'm just gonna go on that, because usually anytime I would get any information like this, or just from someone else or anything like that, I would probably take it with a grain of salt, because I just don't know. Especially, and with this, how this is like being super like front and center of things, I'm going to assume that this is true, and I would probably believe it a lot more than the other expose stuff that happened 4 months ago. And also, even with that, I was like still kind of like at a point where I was like, I don't know if this is like true about the man. I don't necessarily know. It could be, but it could not be. I don't know. I just don't have the proper information until this month, and I ignored it, which that was a dumb thing for me to do. I'll be honest, I'll take the hit on that. But basically, this whole thread, I'll read this entire like thread. I won't read the Google document. I'd rather for you to read it, but I'll go over it, at least from what I remember of it. But basically, this man was like, in a strange twist, I am today doing an unexposed. Originally planned to be anonymous, but that decision was changed, and I won't edit the document as it is finalized as the exoneration of Bungo Tyga. I dug into a femboy VTuber who was accused of being a ped, and a surprising twist, what I found was a victim of stalking, harassment, and pedo-jacketing? I've never heard that term a day in my life. I am in communication with Tyga, but I was first silently lurking his Discord and watching before reaching out. That's very understandable. I would kind of have done the same thing if I, had some type of shade on someone else or something like that, Basically, that's something that I can understand. Based on lurking the Discord, I saw no indication of grooming, minor endangerment, racism, transphobia. After a while, I made contact with Tyga and asked a lot of questions, while also digging for receipts elsewhere. What we discussed is in the doc above. Please read it first. I dated the doc to account for any bias that could arise in the future. We have continued talking, and the story actually gets more tragic. A while after the doc was finalized, Tyga opened up about some of his past. He opened up about the fact that around 13, he was convinced by an adult to e-date him. He actually questioned himself, was I groomed? And seems to just be coming to terms with this. Whether he will talk about this more or work on unpacking that privately is up to him. I suspect many of his odder behaviors may be a coping mechanism, but I am not a therapist. I am sending him some resources that may help him get in contact with one, though, if he so chooses. He also told me more about Ozzy, which is like a person. I don't know if they're like a VTuber or not. Someone can maybe in the comments possibly clear this up. Also, anything I might get wrong in this, please clear it up in the comments if you have the correct information. He provided logs of Whisper's DMs on Twitch of Ozzy admitting to and defending having some, that adult action with a drunk and high 18-year-old on the day they turned 18. I need to verify sharing receipts that won't affect any legal investigation and censor victim names. Nothing Tyga said was brought up by Ozzy for 2 years until after Ozzy was banned from Tyga's community, which was a month into Tyga's VTubing career, as soon as Ozzy was discovered to be having lewd interactions with community members in what at the time was a safe for work all ages server. It amazes me, a Shotokan, a McDonald rapist, and IRL stalker put out a document that nobody seriously fact checked and has given rise to daily harassment from aunties who groom minors to attack someone they allegedly incorrectly is a ped, putting said minors in danger too. This being written as this at Porcelain Maid was just accused of and confirmed of worse. Whether he is a danger to children is still being looked into, but he contacted a minor unlike Tyga, and both exposés were for comments made by people during high school ages. Tyga has been upfront and honest even about the more uncomfortable things and mistakes he has made and grown from. This is something I have never witnessed a pet to do, and do not believe he is one, or any threat to minors or anyone else. If you read this to the end, thank you. Also, he did update this like today, saying that Tyga has now opened up about the trauma of these events and his earlier childhood grooming I mentioned as well. Honestly, it's just heartbreaking to listen to. Shame on everyone who is not speaking up to correct the record they set. Again, my apologies. But yeah, that's basically the entire like thing. Yeah, there was like stalking involved in all this, especially in the Google document. It goes way more in depth with the honest situation. I've read it now and I do see the seriousness of it, and it's quite crazy. And definitely there's also parts of the Tyga side where I'm like, he should have done better in parts of it. But still, overall, Tyga isn't necessarily the bad person that people think he is. Yes, he did make a lot of mistakes. Yes, as I said in my video, and he even said it himself in like one other video, like, no, I think in a TwitLonger he made like 4 months ago, he was an ass. So he has been an asshole before. That has been confirmed on both sides, whether it's on the, you know, sides of people that's calling it out and on his own side. So yeah, he's been an ass, but he said he's been working on that, you know. I even had to watch like Kio's, that one other drama VTuber's video about the subject where he covered it and obviously spread that misinformation too. And you know, it just really sucks, honestly, because being labeled that and being outed as that doesn't do you any type of favors, honestly. It just doesn't, and it just really is rough, especially when it's not even like, you know, the person that's going through it is not even like the actual, is actually like doing the actual thing. It actually really sucks. And now everybody's just like, oh, you did this one thing, so now we have to go against you. And it absolutely is bonkers and it's stupid and it sucks. It really does. And in time you got to correct it, information come out too late to kind of understand what is happening, and then it's still at the same point no one really cares, and then they might think, oh, because you're covering it, you're that type of, you know, bad person, so you join him together. So that's like another thing. So that's a lot, honestly. Now, whether this is also like some type of legal thing, I'm also going to straight up say too, I am not a legal person like that works in like the legal field or legal advisor. I'm just an average N-word. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am just the average black person just doing my thing, honestly, just covering drama, because I really should have covered this earlier on, but you know, I just really didn't. But when it comes down to things, the Google document also covered more in depth about the people that was calling him out, as well as like the stalker thing, which I think that's the biggest, personally for me, the biggest thing, and also a learning lesson for me as well, because in one stream Tyga was having was like this dude coming through and just donating $5,000, $60,000, like $25,000, all of this bunch of money, like constantly through the stream, which is insane, number one. And basically that's where a lot of the money that, you know, I guess where that 9,000 went to that model kind of came from, which I'll be honest, that's a massive red flag. And what ended up happening was that this dude is like super rich, obviously, like massively rich, and really just, I guess, enjoyed Tyga's content to the point he was like a super fan. So much so that he literally kind of was, because he's rich, he went out his way to find out exactly where Tyga is and just stalked his ass last year. Which, hell no. That is, I'm not necessarily gonna hold you. When I read that, I was like, yeah, This is why I'm low-key kind of scared of like having like a super over mega fan, like dead ass, because they're gonna be like, oh, I bought your merch, I bought your piss, I bought all this type of stuff, and just be like, I'll buy your cum if I have to, please come on me for free, I'll take it. Like, those type of people scare the most out of me. They scared the most, they mostly scare me the most, honestly, because they're the type of people that are unpredictable. Those are the type of people that, you know, would potentially easily have nothing to lose, honestly. That's why I don't necessarily open up to a lot of different people, honestly, especially if I'm getting random interactions with people. Like, if I deem you not having like a stable head on your shoulders or something like that, I'm not necessarily going to interact with you as much. And that has been the fattest, most hugest, most biggest concern, especially becoming like an online creator, influencer type of thing. Because you're gonna run into crazy people, rich crazy people too. So, and you might think, oh yeah, the money is great, the money is awesome and stuff. Shoot, I would like to have that money as well. But at the same time, is it worth you getting stalked though? Absolutely not. I would rather not. So, yeah, the massive red flag was definitely the money that was just shot out of a cannon straight into the man's bank account. And just, you know, that was just the strangest thing. I can understand someone donating maybe $1,000. I can understand maybe having it twice. Any more than like 3 times or twice, I'm starting to get scared. And hell, I might just end the stream right freaking there, just because I don't want to keep happening over and over again. Like, it's freaking horrifying. Hell, if that were to honestly like happen, or like if that was happening to someone, they should dead ass like not go on the internet for like a good chunk of time, maybe like a day or two, or like a week or so, to kind of just like, I guess, avoid any kind of contact with people. Just no Twitter, no YouTube, no Twitch, no anything when it comes down to things, because you don't necessarily know what the hell is going on. You're just getting an influx of money that is a large as hell that no one really gives you, and it's just like, what the hell do I do about that, honestly? And that was like one of my like big concerns too when it comes to like opening up Patreon or opening up like other types of accounts. Not saying I reject the idea of wanting or like needing money and stuff. Like, I need it if you can, you know, help me out, whether it's through Patreon or just wanting to donate in general. I'll take what I can get. But at the same time, if it's gonna lead to some stalking, hell no. That means I need to have a steel chair in hand ready to whoop your ass. Needing some actual tables, ladders, and chairs to whoop your ass. Hit you with a Stone Cold Stunner in RKO off the top of a Hell in a Cell to whoop your ass. I'm not taking that. No, absolutely not. But that's what ended up happening with Taiga though. I know it's like, Jay, you're making fun of the situation. I'm not making fun of the situation. I'm trying to, you know, make it a little bit easier so you can understand, I guess, my viewpoint on it, to like kind of digest it and try calm the tension down, basically. But definitely, this is a horrifying scenario, and Taiga can't necessarily do anything about it, or couldn't have done anything about it, because, you know, the man's freaking rich, whoever that guy was. So you can't really do anything about it, especially you don't have money yourself, and that's a horrifying position to be in. It's a constant fear. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So that was like, for me, that was like the major thing that made me like, okay, I gotta make this video right now, because this is just absolutely wild and insane. I've never seen anything like this before. And also, when it comes to when the moments where Taiga was acting like, you know, I guess pretending to be like a kid and whatever, and like all that type of stuff about his age, faking his age and stuff like that, or asking for some, you know, content that it should not be asked for. At the point in time where he was doing it, I wrote it in my notes, hold up. My note says Taiga did make crude jokes on wanting to see, I think, underage stuff, but that was just his sense of humor at the time. He was also finishing high school at the moment, while the person in that Discord was like 17 that was in question. So I really hate how I write my notes. But basically, when it comes down to things, like, it was obviously, for the most part, anytime he was like faking his age, it was like a crude joke. Which personally, obviously, this is kind of part where I gotta get a little bit on Taiga too. It's like, why the hell would you make those type of jokes when you know it's serious? When it's kind of like a serious, well, no, it actually is a serious situation. I take that back. Is when it is a serious situation, it's not necessarily something you would joke about. Honestly, it's like joking about the death of someone, and it's not necessarily something I would 100% agree on. And it's just weird when you joke about certain things like this. But then that's probably due to his childhood, which, you know, makes sense, I suppose. Because I mean, granted, I didn't have the most greatest childhood either. Look at this channel. Look at what we talk about a lot of the time. There is a reason for it. But when it comes down to things, you know, still, you should try to, but definitely, I guess, keep it in check. That's like the best thing I could say. Just keep yourself in check, especially if you've been through stuff yourself. So that's like one major thing I would definitely advise. And when it comes to his, oh, this is like a big thing too. When it comes to the Discord server that he was in at that time, where the whole thing was him being accused and stuff, he was handed that Discord server, I believe. And when it comes down to things, by the time he got control of it, it wasn't like really anything crazy going on. It kind of went inactive and stuff. And then like, and I can't necessarily confirm like what happened before he got in charge of that server, but he wasn't necessarily like doing anything crazy, right? Like it really wasn't like anything that I guess made it wasn't anything that was supposed to be like really that should have been really bad for him, but it was just like I guess like things that were happening beforehand in a way that, at least that's from what I was finding out in some shape or form. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And then also with the 17-year-old that was in the server, and I guess that was also posting certain things that should not be posted. He also wanted that person out of that server, but they didn't get out for whatever reason. And the mods, that was something that should have been blamed on the mods for, and you know, that also helped cause the situation to be more horrible than it is. So, you know, the mods definitely did not do their job. That's something that is, you know, not great. And Tiger got still thrown with his reputation in the trash, and it absolutely sucks. And it's just not a good look on anybody, honestly. Also, you want to know why I don't have a Discord server? This is exactly why. I know a lot of people, a lot of underage people like to use Discord for every little thing. And people that are predators like to use Discord servers for every little thing. And it's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. There's been countless videos of people exposing Discord predators online and on YouTube and stuff, and try to shut down these people. And it's never really great, honestly. That's why, personally, I just don't necessarily like Discord. I don't like using it because it's just there could be some shady things going on, and I just don't want to be any near a part of that at all. It's just absolutely not. And I've seen and heard countless of stories about, you know, Discord being a horrible place at times and stuff. And again, it's just the reason why I don't even have a server for my own self. Now, if someone wants to make a server for our channel and our community, that's fine. But I don't want to be in charge of it. I don't want to be handling it. Like, if it's going to be run, it's going to be run by the community itself, and I have no attachment to it outside of, you know, it's being my community. That's literally it. That's literally the only thing, you know, I would have when it comes to it. I might poke in a few times just to see what's happening, how things are going, but other than that, that's about it. And I think Berleezy has the same type of way about his Discord too, about fans making it and then they just kind of do whatever and just keep it up, and you know, he kind of comes through and then just see what's going on, maybe like check in and chill out with the people that's within there, and that's about it. He doesn't run it, he just chills and just see what is going on by the, you know, community perspective. And that's kind of how I would have it too. So if there ever is going to be a Discord server, it's going to be up to you guys. I'm not against a Discord server, but as long as you guys are running it and I don't have to be in there all the time, then that's fine. I don't necessarily care. But yeah, that's basically the reason why I don't like using Discord personally, because again, there's just too much crazy shit that just kind of happens within it. Also with that new piece of information that was in that Twitter thread with the video that was leading towards like this hour-long stream thing, one other thing that was added to it is that Tygo, at least in the beginning when I was watching it, like a little bit, Taiga was like watching this clip from Nuxtaku and like Moist Critical, talking about VTuber drama. I remember this video going around, obviously for multiple reasons. Number one, the whole lolly thing, which is annoying as hell, and Nux made a really stupid bad take on that, and I'll be honest with you, we don't care about that take on this channel. No. If you like lollies, feel free to like lollies. If you like shotas, feel free to like shotas. If you like some IRL stuff, go to jail. So that's pretty much how we feel over here. And he also went in, and I didn't again notice, but he also went in on the Bungo Taiga thing, and for the majority of it, he got a lot of the information, but he doesn't know if it's true or not. And then said pretty much the same thing that everybody else been saying 4 months ago about him being outed and how he's like this person that's like a predator and all this type of stuff. And it's just not necessarily helping because obviously he doesn't know anything, but he probably just assumes that it is the case, which makes Nux even look even worse, honestly. And it just doesn't necessarily, you know, it's not a good thing. It's just not good. And again, if you're gonna cover something like this, have your information correct, and you know, be prepared for anything that might come your way when it comes to this type of stuff, because you're potentially, you could ruin like a creator's like whole, you know, career and stuff like this. This is major stuff that wouldn't be pushed on, that shouldn't be pushed on anybody. But you know, it just, this is just kind of how he is now in the day and age of the internet and all this type of stuff, and it's just wild, honestly. But yeah, basically, you know, Nux went out their way to cover this thing with Charlie and didn't really know the detail. And all this did was basically ruin Taiga's reputation even further. And also, he did show the same scenes of the stalker donating tons of money to Taiga, yet, you know, didn't potentially think that it was like, you know, weird or anything like that. You don't think that someone donating like tons and tons of money to you is weird or doesn't raise an eyebrow. Now, sometimes people can donate a lot of money to you, and you know, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It's whatever, honestly, and that's perfectly fine. And they might not even do anything with it, you know, that's perfectly fine. And honestly, those type of people that exist out there that just donate money to people and just don't necessarily like want anything in return like that, so you know, the creators to be happy and stuff like that, bless you, honestly, literally. Hopefully your life is blessed 100%. But definitely when it comes down to things, this is like major red flags, and Nux didn't see that. Like, he didn't see that. And even just for the few seconds I was watching like the beginning of it, Taiga just sounded immediately hurt. And I can understand why, because this was just a shitty situation of having all that money donated to you just to get stalked down by some French dude. So that's not necessarily the greatest thing. So overall, when it comes down to this whole Bungo Taiga, is he a predator or not type of thing video discussion, Taiga is not a predator. He's not. He has been through some BS and definitely has a past full of BS and, you know, things that was probably not in his control, and it just not necessarily been the greatest thing for him. Again, as I said before, there's parts of it where Taiga should definitely like work on himself in a way, and definitely like, you know, not try to push things on to other people. And with those like crude ass jokes that he made at the time, definitely don't make those jokes, because oh my gosh, it's an obvious bad thing to do. But still, you know, overall, the whole thing about him and his reputation being ruined because people label him as a predator of some shape or form with no real evidence whatsoever, that's like the part of it that's really suck. I don't necessarily know if Taiga can fix this situation, or if the situation can be fixed at all, because once people on the internet make up their minds, it's pretty much set in stone, honestly. But hopefully Taiga can find some, I guess, way out of it, or maybe like potentially some way to clear the air. Hopefully by this video being out, there is a chance of that to be happening. I wish, again, if I really was just in the right mind, I wish I covered this earlier in the month, but I didn't, and that's to my own stupidity. So I am personally a part of the problem of why Taiga can't necessarily get his name to be cleared out there. So in all all realisticness and all like the stuff, well, with everything when it comes to this situation, I don't know if Tyga's ever gonna watch this video, but I do apologize to you, Tyga, because I should have just covered this, because you know, it was literally in my hands and I could have said something, but I didn't do it, and it's just bad, honestly. I should have done more, but you know, I just didn't for whatever reason. So I apologize on that front. But definitely, again, when it comes down to things, Tyga is not a predator in any shape or form. They haven't harmed anybody, so that's a good thing. They haven't. So all the hate and nonsense that come from, you know, Tyga shouldn't necessarily be there. Even when it comes to like the, you know, transphobe thing and the racist thing, you know, that shouldn't even be like a thing either. Granted, he did say a few things that probably shouldn't be when it comes to the racist thing, and he did, you know, have a very obscure reference to a quote from a TV show, I think Sunny in Philadelphia, and you might misunderstand that quote, and I'll grant you that one, but definitely he's not necessarily like the super ultimate bad guy as many people made him out to be. So again, I don't know if this stuff is reversible. I don't know if he's actually in a better place or not, or you know, how everything is with him like currently. Hopefully he's like, again, working on himself and is in a much better place. Hopefully the person that was stalking him is not stalking him anymore, and hopefully just things get better for him. Honestly, that's what I really want to see, just things getting better for everybody, because all this stuff shouldn't just be happening, especially in a certain degree, because this is just wild. And again, for me, this is like a giant lesson for me. If I'm seeing something like this, number one, I probably should cover it, or at least look into it to learn more. And then number two, if I get hit with some random ass donation of $1,000 and it constantly happens, probably should, you know, take it as a red flag that something bad is happening. So yeah, definitely creators of all people, you just have to be careful out there. Whether you have a loving fan base or not, you just have to be very careful, because you don't necessarily know what people are going to do in this day and age, and it's horrifying. And yeah, you just gotta really be careful. But again, as I said before, Tyga was wrongfully accused of all this type of stuff, and you know, it doesn't make any type of sense that no one has covered this either, honestly, because I'm probably not the only person that this burner account dude probably sent this to. Probably sent this to other people, but no one really covered it. And it's been 4 months, so what the actual hell? And the mods and all this other stuff that's like related to Tyga are complete assholes. Like, let's not even like sugarcoat that. So yeah, it's just this whole situation is just wild. It's crazy, and definitely is an eye-opener. And again, it's very shocking that no one has covered this, not even on the top level. But then again, the top level only care about themselves, and we already discussed that many times. So there's not necessarily like, you know, a huge surprise there. But again, hopefully Tyga, you're doing okay, you're fine. Hopefully you're, you know, fixing yourself up, and you know, hopefully you're doing well, and hopefully you will be able to grow and come and make a comeback from all this, because this is just crazy. And hopefully no one really ever goes through this, honestly, because this is just not it. But that's basically all I wanted to say for this one. There might be a little bit of editing in this video. There might not be too much editing, honestly, outside of the thread that was on Twitter, and the, what else? There was something else I was going to edit through. Oh, and the DM. But that's about it. There's probably not going to be much editing to this video, I'm going to be honest with you, because this is a long one. But I really wanted to at least address this, because again, this was at my hands on the beginning of the month and I just never covered it. But now that more people are just like, you know, talking about it, and it's kind of like starting to get confirmed in a way, and people are just caring about this stuff, I just feel like I need to cover it, also with my own regret of it as well. So that's also another reason why I'm covering it too. So hopefully I can at least make it right by clearing the air that Tyga is a good person. Well, mostly a good person, and you know, he's not necessarily the enemy that people made him out to be. He's just a chill dude for the most part, and working on himself, and that's basically the best you could do. The message I guess I could say for the end of all this is just reflect on yourself every now and then. Whether you think you're in a good place or not, reflect on yourself. Really judge yourself for a moment, and then just think about where you've been and what you're doing and all this type of stuff, and see how you really stack up to the table of the future that is ahead of you. Reflecting on yourself is never a bad thing to do. It's the thing I do constantly. But that's basically it, though. So hopefully you did learn something and enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification anywhere else. Also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to donate to the channel. Patreon is available as well. And until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.